1962, I went to fix a jukebox in a coffee bar. I was 17 in Meanwood in Leeds. Morris, who I didn't know, was playing his guitar because there was no jukebox. I fixed the jukebox, put some records on, and he put his guitar away. And I went up to him and I said, "Do you want to join a juke kid?" He said, I didn't say juke kid, I said, "Do you want to join a group?" And that's what I really said. I just washed my teeth and I can't do a thing with them. And he said, "Join a group." I said, "Who's in it?" I said, "Up to now, you." And he said, "What about my mate then? Because I don't go anywhere without him." That was Graham. I said, "What does he play?" He says, "Don't play anything, but I'll teach him bass. It's only 4 strings and you hit them one at a time, it's dead easy." So that was the beginning of the Grumbleweeds. We got Albert and Carl. We got Carl at first because he was a lead guitarist, and then we needed somebody with a microphone. And Albert owned a microphone and he was his brother, so we asked him to join. That was it. So we borrowed all this rubbish equipment, and we couldn't do the clubs that we were doing, the dance halls, because it wasn't powerful enough. So we did the working men's clubs and turn it down a bit, lad, you know, we'll get you another booking. And so it's going to be down anyway because this stuff's rubbish. So you'd hit the drum, bang, roll it to the floor, everybody's falling about laughing, and the guitars are snapping strings, and because they're always snapping strings and we didn't know how to tune them properly, they would be changing strings. So Graham and I would start doing impressions in between it, because we'd just copy what, like Steptoe and Son, and we'd do what they did on the record. "Oh, go, dude, we've got one again, Harold!" And we'd do that sort of stuff, and we'd do Maxwell and all double acts, and Morecambe and Wise and Hilda Baker and Cynthia, "Where have you been?" We did stuff like that in between, and of course the working men's clubs loved this. So an agent called Dave Forrester, who used to manage Ken Dodd, he saw us and saw potential and took us on, and we did the Central Pay with Uncle Peter Webster, and all of a sudden our career took off and we were doing nightclubs and we really worked on the comedy and it was working really well. And then we were doing Battle Variety Club one day, and this guy came backstage and said, "Hey lads, I do radio shows, my name's Mike Craig, have you got any drink?" I always liked his drink, so give him a drink. He said, "I'm doing a radio show, Radio 2, do you want to do it?" "Yeah, if you want." "Who listens to radio?" Wrong. So he'd written this radio show with all these crazy characters, Uncle Rubbish and Uncle Nasty and Ratface and all these weird characters. So Graham and I did most of the voices on it. And we did a pilot show, which the BBC liked, and they commissioned 14 programmes. We did that, and that actually ran for 14 years. And Johnny Hamp liked it, and I think we got the Sony Award 2 years running for the top comedy radio show. And then Johnny Hamp said, "I think that'll work on TV." I said, "Okay." And so we did Granada, and the Grumbleweeds radio show, as it was first called for the first series, came out, and then it became the Grumbleweeds TV show.
The Grumbleweeds were a reinvention of the Goons. I mean, the characters were the Goons. They were just sort of reframed and all that. So
Yeah,
you know, Viv and Trix were Jules and Sam, weren't they?
Yeah.
And all the rest of it. So there were all these kind of odd characters, which weren't. Don't get me wrong, they weren't copies of the Goons, but that was a sort of. It was the Goons for a new generation, and I think that happens a lot in comedy. You know, if Alan Carr is Kenneth Williams, and
yeah, absolutely.
Lee Evans is Norman Wisdom, and so on. The history repeats itself. You know. And everybody's Max Wall these days.
Especially that girl I'm going out with.
So I think what the Grumbleweeds brought, they sort of brought a fresh approach to that kind of comedy, and because it was radio, it was in your own head. How can it not work if it's in your own head? We had that conversation only last night about imagining things in your head, and that's where it worked. And I think it worked better on radio than it did on TV.
So did I, to be honest. I mean, it's nice to be on TV, but I think people at home liked, because Uncle Rubbish, and you've got this weird house with all these weird characters, and a guy with a gas mask on. "Hey Jim, all right mate?" And he's got a gas mask on all the time, and he actually did it at the recording. He used to wear a gas mask to get the right sound. And all these weird Uncle Rubbish.
We did that when we were sort of reframing stuff. We brought some of the old characters back, and I did Wilf Gas Mask. And he's right. As soon as you put the gas mask on, it sounds like that's half the impression. You know, putting the gas mask on. But we did that, and it didn't work. It was of its time, and
Yeah, it was
and
fine.
moved on.
And it was great on the radio. I don't think it worked on TV at all, that. But there, we did it. But Morris and Carl brought all the music to it. Morris was a lead guitar, rhythm guitarist, Carl was a lead guitar. Carl was a great guitarist, had a lot of back pain for many years, as did Albert. He was the singer, and great singer. Albert was a great singer. He was an opera trained singer, and he could do great impressions. And it was that point, and Carl said, look, I fancy being an agent. Albert said, I fancy going solo. Fine, that's great. We left amicably. We finished the kind of last show, and Graham, myself and Morris went three-handed, and we got a band in. We decided to lose the instruments because I couldn't compete with modern drummers, so we got a really good drummer and a good keyboard and a good bass. So we did 10 years like that, the three of us. And then Morris decided to retire. He's had enough of travelling, and we tried working another person in, that didn't work. So it was just me and Graham then. And from then on we were doing pantos, and that was great. Right up until the point when Graham got cancer and died. And he apologised to me. He said, I'm sorry mate, we can't do them crews, I'm really sorry. And he felt really funny because they cut all the roof of his mouth out, you know. I said, oh, it's not, don't apologise to me, I'll be fine. And we joked about what he wanted at his funeral, and so it was great. And his funeral was amazing, and I was going to pack it in then. In the meantime, I'd been doing some plays with James. I'd done Rita Sue and Bob 2, we did a Cock Up in Benidorm, and more importantly we did 39 Steps, where James played the lead, and I played like 25 different characters in it. It was just awesome fun, and we filmed it. And I sent a copy to my agent, and I said, well, that's me acting. And he said, it's really good, that. I didn't realise you could do all that. I said, yeah, I love acting, it's great fun. And then Green Duck, Keith Harris went ill, and he said, do you want to do Panto at Hull? I said, no, not on my own, no. He said, well, you're not going to replace Graham. He said, could you add that report? I said, right. He said, nobody would accept anybody taking his place. There's only one person who could take his place. I said, who's that? He said, you. I said, well, that's the point. Yeah, I can play the clown, and I like being, I was always a clown at school. Make me laugh or so later, so I made him laugh, you know, so I never got hit. And so then he said, well, what about that guy you worked in 39 Steps with? He was awesome. He was really good, and he fed you really well, all those comedy lines you did. I said, that's true. And I said to James, do you want to be a Grumbleweed for a panto? He said, yeah. And we had such a ball. We did, didn't we? We just loved it, and we got on so well. It was instant. But we were spending every hour together in the car, in the dressing room.
We really did some work on it.
And then we worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. That's when it started, and I said, I'm really liking this.
Yeah, because we'd done a few half and half shows, hadn't we? We'd done a thing called Comedy Express and a thing called Comedy Double, where where you'd done the first half and I'd done the second half, and then we swapped it around, and then we did half of the half each, and then we ended up doing a sketch together. We did the Lighthouse sketch. Yeah. Which we sort of threw together, and we did it, and it sort of worked, and then there were some rumblings of that, but it was really the 39 Steps that did it, because there's such a Robin did all the characters, I just did the one lead, and that's where it started to work. But it wouldn't have worked any other way. There's no way that would have worked. I wouldn't have done Graham's part, you know, and no, you know, there's only one guy that the audience would have accepted doing Graham's part, and rightly so. And that was Robin. And, you know, as far as I was concerned, the whole thing was a poison chalice. It was just too difficult to take on, and who could follow Graham? He was brilliant at what he did, and the only way to make that work, and rightly so, for all its legacy, the Grumbleweeds legacy, to continue that, and that was Robin, and he sort of came in and did that, and you know, we just put it in front of an audience. We worked a lot when we really didn't take
anywhere,
because we didn't want to copy anything. We didn't want to be a cheap copy or a tribute act of the thing, despite the fact that I was new to it and wasn't original and all that. And
Yeah, but you did a lot of work. I mean, I think you did more work than I had to do because you had to learn. I mean, you're a great stand-up comic, and doing stand-up is totally. I couldn't learn that. Not now. I'm too old. Oh, sod that.
yeah, but I didn't have to be Graham.
No, that's right. But you had to learn how to feed, because Graham always used to say, and it really makes sense now. Graham always, when people used to say to him, "Oh, you're a funny man," and he'll say, "Not without him, I'm not." What do you mean he's not without him? He says, "Look, we're a football team." He says, "He's the rest of the team, I'm the striker. He gets the ball to the net, all I've got to do is kick it in. That easy. And I get all the accolade and all the laughs. And that's it. He does all the work. He does all the work, and I just go out and go, pop, laugh. It's easy. I don't have to remember anything. I'm 70 odd now. I think, what we're doing? Yeah, I can't. Oh, he can remember it. I've had 50 years of remembering it. Now it's his turn. So he remembers what we're doing. And it's the same thing. And I say to him, "What we're doing in this show?" And he'll say, do you need me to tell you? No, not really. Just throw it at me and I'll
just give you the appropriate responses.
But
well, at least some of the time.
A lot of the time was remembering it and replanning it and watching it and videoing it and saying, "Oh, that's not as tight. Let's move that. Let's do it."
If there is a secret to what we do, it's the fact that we tell each other the truth.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of what we do and how we do it. If he doesn't like something I do, he tells me. If I don't like something, and we bat that around until that works, and nobody falls out, nobody gets offended. It ain't personal. It's just
no, we never got egos.
And that's where we go with it, and we look at it and we're honest about it. And sometimes that's in a good way. Sometimes a sketch will catch you by surprise when you see it back, and you go, because you're in the moment. You're not seeing what the audience sees, and yet when you see it back in film, and then you go, "Do you know? Have you looked at that sketch? It's really funny, you know that." and then we laugh, and there's this moment where you do so and so, and then I say this, and almost like we're watching somebody else.
It's really weird. Yeah.
And that does happen. And so it can work in a good way and a bad way. You can surprise yourself with a funny moment that you never saw was there. And in other ways you can spot all the mistakes, but you've got to tell yourself the truth and each other the truth, and that's it. So we've got those channels open all the time and going, "Look, it's funnier if you say that," and that's been, if there is a secret to it, I think that's probably it.
And we're not frightened of. Neither of us have got fear.
No.
So
which is not a good thing.
No, not a good thing. But we're not frightened of silences,
no.
Which a solo act is, because you haven't got thinking time. But we're both capable. I've been a feed, and now I'm the clown. He's been a clown, and now he's the feed. So we are both capable of each other's jobs. I never come out of character, ever. Once I'm on that stage with that funny face on, only time I come out of character is in the very, very last song when I'm me.
Yeah, well, we have
like
to end as equals.
We handle it as equals, but up to then I'm just this idiot, and I love being an idiot. But I never come out of that role ever.
But when we're on form with that, if we're kind of really sharp and on the ball with that, we're starting to now. We're at this stage where we're jazzing.
Oh yeah, playing with it.
We're just and we know what we're doing. Well, that's probably not the right phrase. We don't know what's going to happen.
No, we don't.
But we sort of know we're doing it, and it's a bit like a footballer who's sort of doing all those tricks. We're kind of doing a bit of that showboating, showing off really, but. And it sort of goes off at a tangent, and then it comes back to where we go, and that's part of the fun of doing that thing when we just go, we're just chucking stuff in, and just making that work, and that's a real sort of joy of it, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it just?
But all the stuff that we do has got that, as we say, same meat, different gravy. It's got that sort of Grumbleweeds DNA to it, and I think that it's a style thing. There's nothing particularly groundbreaking about what the Grumbleweeds. I mean, I think somebody said, once it's old, it's new again, and that's probably true. That it's not trying to. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and that probably sounds silly, but so much modern comedy does. There's so much politics and hate and hurt and anger in modern comedy, and we're sort of not about that. And yet they might look at that and sort of go, "Oh, that's old hat and rubbish and boring." And when we got to Spain and we ended up sitting around for 5 hours and then went on at midnight telling knock jokes after the
and got a standing ovation, which is nice.
It does happen, but it could easily go the wrong way.
I think Frank Carson had it right. It's not what we do, it's the way that you do it. Another thing the 39 Steps gave us was the character that I'm doing.
Yeah, it did.
When I played the spy, when I played the, oh, Mr. Henny.
Yeah.
It was the wig. I put this, it was a Graham's wig. He did a magic thing in it when we were doing the TV, the Mystics. And this wig, they'd given it to him from Granada. And I put that on and I just looked, it was great for that character. And I looked old, and so I thought, well, we'll have a stupid costume, unlike him, which is smart. So I'll have a stupid costume, this crazy hair, darken my eyes, so I'll look about 90. And it just kind of evolved from that, this character, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, at one point you used to forget to put the wig on. We went to Hull, we were doing the new theatre at Hull.
Yeah.
And every time he came from the dressing room down the stairs and into the wings, he'd forgot to put his wig on. So the stage management team, of which there were 4, got the photocopier and printed out the word wig. Right? But they didn't print it out once. They printed it out 150 times and placed it on every wall. Right? And I don't mean like 1 or 2. I mean 150 of these,
all the way from the dressing room,
one after the other, all the way, wig,
right to the stage,
right the way down to the stage. And he walked past every single one without his wig on.
Without the wig on. Still forgotten. I got on the stage going, you forgot your wig. Oh, I forgot my wig. Didn't you see the sign? What sign? Oh, look at
50 all the way up.
the wig on.
Yeah. So that's how the wig came about, and it started slowly, but it sort of became such a part of what we do. And of course, the end of the show, the big sort of.
Well, I always used to finish with the wig, and I said, wrongly, I said, oh, I've got to stay in character. I've got to finish that character, and we always finished that way.
We were in Skegness, were we?
And it was James who said, you should take that wig off and you should finish as Joe. I said, oh, I can't do that. That kind of goes against the rules.
As we always say when we're working together, well, just try it.
That's what we do.
Just try it.
Right, okay, we'll just try it. And that's what I did. And when I came on as me, woof.
And they all applauded.
I thought somebody else had come on.
It's a funny moment in the show. It's a really
moment.
funny moment in the show because he walks on and they slowly realise it's the same guy. He doesn't look like the same guy. The transformation is massive. And it doesn't look like the same guy, and then the round of applause goes down and we sort of came off and went,
wow.
That worked.
Yeah.
And just a note to finish on, because the chemistry is evident to see. I've not needed to say a word in any of this because the chemistry is just flowing. Robin, what's this done for you and the Grumbleweeds on a personal note? Has this given the act and yourself a new lease of life that you didn't expect would come?
I genuinely didn't expect it. I really thought it was over when Graham died, and I thought I'm not going to replace him. And I'm having more fun now because now I've got this ability. James has given me the ability now to use 55 years of experience and say, look, I've got all this experience, you've got all that experience, and you're new blood. So let's put the two together. And now I am having so much fun. Genuinely, I really am having, and we get on so well together. We've got no bad habits, we've got no egos, neither of us drink, we don't, we just haven't got any problems about anything. We just get on really, really well. We understand each other. We've got the same ideas on, and we can sit and talk about a gag for hours and hours and hours and dissect it and rewrite it and do it. And we love doing that, which I never used to do that. It was always down to me. I wrote it and said, there's the gag. No, this is great. I know I'm loving it every minute of it. I want it to go on forever. I love it.
We don't always agree,
No, we don't.
We'll look at one way on a sketch, and this is really interesting because for all that we're used to sort of working individually. Robin writes his stuff, I write my stuff, I write stuff for other people, and it's dead easy because you write your stuff and you go like that. So both he and I are used to writing the material for yourself or for others, and that material goes out there and they use it or whatever. With this, I was kind of, and I didn't realise, but I'd gotten into the pattern of writing material, and I would submit the material, and that would it, and it would be used. But he's the same. So what actually happens now, which takes, but is when we write, you would expect that normally one does more writing than the other and all that. It doesn't. When we end up, I write a sketch and I will go, that's the way that I see that sketch, and then I put it in front of Robin, and he'll go, yeah, but I see it that way. And you know, if somebody gives you an idea, you want to go, no, my idea is the better idea. We'll go with my idea. We don't. We kind of end up with it's a proper collaboration.
Yeah.
I couldn't say that anything that I've done for the show is 100% mine. It's not. And anything that Robin's brought into the show is not. It ends up being a 50-50 collaboration, and that is how we keep that sort of Grumbleweeds DNA thing in it. It's written in the same style, but it's got that sort of fresh blood in it, and it's because we both work the same way.
That's probably why
But we don't agree.
These writers
You know.
who write a TV show, and
Yeah.
it's written by two guys. Think, how do two guys work together? That must be a nightmare. But you and I could do that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We sort of write stuff. He'll write. I've got the idea for a sketch, and I'll go, yeah, but it'd be funny if it ended up like that. Or what if, as we do a lot of these days, we set a gag up an hour before we actually do the tag. We layer them in. We layer the gags in now. Whereas once upon a time we used to do the setup.
See, we had a thing in when we did that pantomime. We did the karaoke thing, which ended up with James getting him hit on the head with a microphone,
fell in the pit.
and he fell into the pit, which was a great laugh because we had a crash mat in the pit, and he just go,
You got an 8-foot drop into the dark.
8-foot drop, and the audience went, oh, where's he? It was a great ending for this thing. It was fabulous, and I finished the song, you know, oh, fabulous ending. So we came out of Panto into theatres that haven't got a pit and haven't got a crash mat, and we think, we haven't got the crash, we haven't got the ending. We haven't got the ending. Oh, and we were searching for an ending.
Well, I was stumbling into the wings with the sound effect when I had a crash.
Stumbling in and crashing at the side and bike wheels rolling on. And it's still as good as falling in the pit. No. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning, one day, and he rings me up in the middle of the night. What? The stool. What about it? The ending for the karaoke. Yes! Thank you, God. Yeah, it suddenly came to him. The stool, which we'd done twice. Now,
Same gag.
to get more laughs the second time for the same gag is what we're kind of famous for, doing things like that. And everyone says, how can they get 2 laughs for the same gag? We're now getting a 3rd laugh for the same gag. You tried telling the same joke to somebody 3 times. See what happens.
3 times and it gets a bigger laugh.
It gets a bigger laugh each time. So that is the target. So that he sits back on the stool that I've just had twice. Bingo. That's how we work together.
Yeah, it's all the time, and there's nobody could lay claim to anything because there's that much 50-50. It's all interwoven, and then you add a new piece and add a new piece, and we're doing it all the time. I mean, talking about the stool web, there's that whole new section in the middle where I do the speech about poetry, and I mean, there's about 3 or 4 new laughs in there.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, that kind of make us like, I sit and sort of roll
Makes
back
me
at
laugh.
the idea. But you don't laugh on stage. It's funny. It's only afterwards that you think, oh, it's funny that, you know.
And he didn't realise he said it sometimes. Oh, it came to me like a shaft out of the blue. You see my face going, ooh. Yes. The audience know what I'm thinking. It's just had a shaft.
That one that cropped up. Yes, and now I'd like to present a short passage.
It's going to be a longer passage. We've both got dirty minds. It's just funny, isn't it?
Eh, dear.
Oh, sticks up bottoms are funny. End of story.
Told you it was groundbreaking stuff.